So you've come all this way through an introduction to C++. What then is the rationale for having to take advanced C++? Now, what I will tell you is I completely agree with the idea that you covered an absolute boatload of ground in CIS276. So from where it was that you began with, potentially no exposure to things like variables, with no exposure to things like looping structures, with decision structures, with things like arrays or vectors or functions, so modular programming. All of those things are absolutely true, but it's also true that all of that is really only just a down payment on what you'll need for a career. All of that is only just a down payment on what you'll need, if you were to transfer, for example, and pursue more education. After that, it's really only a down payment if you were going to pursue something like our C++ certificate here, because you would have needed a little bit more. Now, what is oftentimes the case, this is oftentimes the case in all of academia. So you can see it. Oh, you can. It's this way. You can see it behind me here. Those cute little tables are the kindergarten classroom that I maintain here every morning for the first 4 hours of the day. So my 5-year-old is doing virtual school the same as you. And I can tell you that some of the teaching models we use here with the little booger are the same for you big boogers. Is what I like to call the advance and retreat theory of learning. And essentially what happens is you've seen it time and time again in C++ in our previous course, right? So where in chapters 2 and 3 we would have had you do hard coding of variables, for instance. So you would have had grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. And I know that that's never going to work for you, right? I know that really what you would want is an array, or what you would want is a vector. But I also know that if we don't do the advance and retreat part, so we push you forward with one subject so we can go, but you'll never ever do it that way. Let's do it this way instead. And I know that that is cruel for you as a student. I know it feels cruel to me as an instructor, because I know I'm just yanking that rug out from underneath you. But there's value in that, because what those simpler constructs do, what, hard coding by creating 100 small one-use variables that later on you're just going to use an array, or you're just going to use a vector to take care of, is it teaches you what the bounds of the use case for that would be. So what we have done in 276 is introduce you to the simple beginning boundaries of C++. And what we'll do here in 277 is reintroduce you to a lot of those things. We are going to see the STL, the template libraries. We are going to see again classes and modularization. But what we're going to do is we're going to remove some of the film that we laid on top of it. We're going to unobscure some of the deeper functionality that's enrolled in there, and you'll really get to see how powerful a language C++ is. So absolutely positively, we're going to revisit some of what you saw in 276. For the first 2 weeks, we're going to revisit essentially the first half and then the second half of the course so that we can get everybody back up to speed. But after that, what we're going to do is re-examine some of that with a new, more complicated lens. We're going to expand on some of that in what will feel like a crazy shortcut to get done what you were doing without having to type so much. And that really is the benefit here to 277. The advanced portion here is saying, now that we've given you the tools, let's fashion those into weapons so that you can really do this in a career moving forward, so that you can really take what you've learned here and apply that in even more advanced courses, or for even, I'm not going to say more advanced languages, but even different languages where we would have a user experience component that doesn't simply live in, a text window. So that's the value here for 277. That's what you have come here for, is to be hyper useful in your career.